You tend to always make the safe decision. Your brain is always going to recommend to you to make the safe decision. So you need that third party, that advisor, that YouTube video talk show, that TED talk, that whatever, to take off the blindfolds and remind you that there are other options for you to consider. And you should get out of your lane, you should pass that car because other people have done it successfully, so you can too. And the moment you do that, you are able to adjust your risk tolerance, which means next time when you have a high risk need, you are able to make the right decision.
That excites me, that part you said, because I wanted to ask you this question, like how much of people's financial strategy do you think is truly their own, and how much of it is just inherited thinking, like from their parents? It's scary to think that, let's take an 18-year-old. So where does their worldview and beliefs come from? I would say a large part comes from school, the influence at school, teachers, the people. And in general, if you think about the average teacher, they are pretty conservative. They are safe. They're not very risk. That's just an assumption. It could be generalization. As soon as you finish school, then you have to realize now you've been formed into this person, your beliefs, it comes from people you've been surrounded with, but it doesn't have to be that way. So you have to explore, you have to see what's out there, you have to decide for yourself what's true or not. In school, I hated reading, didn't like reading books because it didn't really interest me. And until after school, I realized, okay, now I can read whatever I want. So I don't have to read Romeo and Juliet. I can actually read business books. And that's when it clicked. It's like, okay, I can read a book that took someone 40 years of their life, they dedicated towards the topic. I can read that in a week, and I know, like, I gained so much knowledge in just a week. And it's almost like a loophole. What's that quote that says, the man who doesn't read has no advantage over the man who cannot read.
Wow. Wow, that is so true. Well, we both read this book, and I think we've hit some good points here. I've got two more things that I wanted to discuss with you from the book, but what you just said, I wanted to say something on. The past, the perspective, the perception. I honestly don't think, and there might be a lot of philosophers that will throw stones at me now, but I honestly don't think anyone ever has a unique thought. I think everything we think, you have heard somewhere, or your brain has drawn a conclusion or formed an opinion about something you've seen or heard, or education, or the way you were raised by your parents. So, however, there's two ways to respond to everything in life. You can either become a product of your circumstances and just continue the loop, what you call the loop, the cycle, and just continue to stay in that rut and that way of doing things, that way of thinking, which a lot of people do. And you know what? Ignorance is bliss. So if you're never confronted with a different opinion or a different way of living or a different way of thinking, you're going to be fairly happy in the matrix. But it's when you get confronted with that blue and red pill, when you see something, when you hear something, or unfortunately, when something really traumatic happens to you, like a life event, that's when you start to realize, but wait, there's an alternative. There is outside of the matrix. I can think for myself. I can do for myself. And then you still have a choice if you want to take the blue or the red pill.